Hello and welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights, the show where we ask SaaS founders, CEOs, marketers, and investors about the lessons they've learned in their quest to grow their companies. My name is Paul Stevenson, and I'm founder and CEO of SaaS marketing agency 47 Insights. On today's show, I have an interview with Geoff Roberts, co-founder at Outseta. Hope you enjoy it. Geoff Roberts, co-founder at Outseta in San Diego. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
So we didn't meet each other at MicroConf for various reasons, but we connected on LinkedIn afterwards. And the more I found out about you, the more I thought you'd be a great person to have on the show. So do you want to start off by telling us what Outseta is?
Absolutely. So what we're working on at Outseta is we're trying to build what we hope becomes the de facto tech stack for an early stage SaaS business. So there's this growing population of self-funded software entrepreneurs, bootstrappers, indie hackers, makers, those sorts of people. And typically they're doing the same things when it comes to buying software. They're going out and they're buying a CRM system. They're going to buy some sort of subscription billing and management tools, and then a series of what I'll broadly call customer communication tools. So email, marketing automation, help desk tools, live chat tools. So we're bringing all that functionality together into a single platform, focused specifically on an early stage SaaS business.
Wow, that's quite a product to build with so much functionality. I mean, I guess what you're having to work out is, what are the really crucial bits of functionality that you need early stage, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, there's lots of studies out there that have looked at, as a SaaS startup grows, how many tools they're typically using. And it scales very, very quickly from, 3, 4, 5 tools at a very, very early stage company to 20 or 30 as a, company gets towards $5 or $10 million in revenue. And we talked to a lot of companies at an early stage and just sort of found a common denominator with billing, CRM, and then tools required to basically support and grow your customer base. So it is undeniably a very large product. But I think the good thing is going into building the product, we knew that the needs for the tools that we're building have already been validated. We're not building anything new and revolutionary. We're building software categories that have existed for a long time. And while it is, quite a tool set of tools that we're building, the other thing is when you're building for an earlier stage company, there's a lot less complexity. And, as companies typically move up market, they're building features and functionality to support larger companies that frankly we don't need to build. And likewise, we don't spend any time really building integrations with other tools because we're delivering the set of tools fully integrated from the get-go that we think an early stage SaaS business needs.
So how far are you into this process? And who else is involved? You're a co-founder. How many other people are involved at the moment?
Yeah, so we're 2.5 years into building the company. We've had a paid product in the market for about a year now. And the time prior to that was just straight product development from my 2 co-founders. Their names are Dimitri and Dave, and they're our product team. I handle basically everything else. So sales, marketing, customer success, some business operations type of stuff. And I've been focused, prior to the actual paid product hitting the market, largely on content marketing, just helping us build an audience and the audience that we have today. But at this point, having a paid product in the market, we're sort of focused on growth for the first time.
Wow. So as I understand it, your background is in growth for SaaS anyway. You had or still have a consultancy doing that. So seemingly an easy thing for you to do. So if I heard you correctly, what you're saying is you got started on marketing before you had anything built?
Yes, we actually started writing code and building our audience basically on the same day, 2.5 years ago. We knew that content marketing is something particularly in an industry as competitive as SaaS and marketing technology, where it was going to take us a long time to really feel the impact of our content marketing efforts. And to be frank, it probably took us 12 to 18 months to really start to feel our content and see it in our organic traffic. But today, we've seen an increasing number of signups for the product every month, and about 3/4 of them are people who initially found us from our content. So I'm happy we started so soon.
Yeah, that sounds like you put a great deal of forethought into what you were doing. So, with that in mind, is content marketing the only aspect of marketing that you're doing? I mean, I guess if you're at MicroConf, you were there to network and meet people as well. What other channels and strategies have you been looking at, or is it very much 80-20 rule, 80% content marketing?
We're definitely looking at a number of other strategies. I would say in the first 2.5 years of building the company, a major pillar of what we've done has been content marketing, largely because of my own personal background. I have a writing background and hopefully something resembling experience in content marketing. But we've also just been focused on other sort of what I would call free strategies or unpaid strategies. So I've done quite a bit of email prospecting to date. Certainly we do some social media marketing, but actually we're just at the point now where we're starting to make greater investments or paid efforts towards growth. So MicroConference, for example, was our first conference that we've attended as a company and invested in as a company. And we've started running some paid digital ads too in Twitter and LinkedIn mostly.
Yeah, I guess it's that classic bootstrapper's dilemma, isn't it? That, you want to start by spending as little as possible, get some validation around the idea, and then get marketing rolling as cheaply as possible until the thing starts to take off, and then you can start to reinvest some of that money in growing it. And that sounds pretty much like the route that you guys are taking. So, going forward, what are the channels that you perhaps haven't done yet, but would, look to do if you had, a bit more money to invest or with time?
Yeah. So I think for us, the interesting thing is we are very specifically serving the low end of this market. We want to serve the early stage startup from the day they've sort of first conceptualized their idea until hopefully if they're successful, maybe they get to $5 million in revenue. But at some point, if we rode along with them for that journey, they would outgrow our product, and we would frankly expect them to move on to a series of other solutions. And that's totally fine. That's the battle that we've chosen. What that means, though, is we do have to acquire customers very, very cost effectively. We do have a low price point product, and we are in a market with a lot of competition. So we're never going to be able to go out and run, paid advertising on keywords like email marketing or CRM or subscription billing. We'll just get killed by our venture funded competitors.
Yeah.
So I think content will always be a big part of our plan. Honestly, being on podcasts like this with you helps a lot. And one of the things that I've really invested more time in recently, which I think is sort of a growing channel that people don't talk a whole lot about, is just sort of comment marketing and being part of some of these communities where a high volume of SaaS founders live. So whether that's private Slack groups with founders of other SaaS companies or sites like Indie Hackers, we've seen a lot of value just from having a presence on those sites, really engaging with those communities and being as helpful as possible. And people, start to figure out who you are and say this person has some idea what they're talking about, and circle back and give Outseta a look when they have a need for software. So I think those are going to be pillars of our growth strategy going forward.
That sounds great, and sounds eminently sensible too. So in terms of where Outseta is going now, is the product fully rounded out as far as you guys are concerned, or is there, more things in the pipeline, bells and whistles to add, or
Sure.
things that you feel are missing, that are holding the product back, or feel that you feel that is needed?
Sure. Good question. There's obviously always stuff to build, and I am sort of the biggest power user of the product still. So I have a never-ending list of things that I'm asking my co-founders, Dave and Dimitri, to build. But in short, we've delivered far beyond our MVP at this point, and we've delivered all the core pieces of functionality that we set out to deliver. So there is a CRM system and a sales pipeline management set of features. We have email marketing, we have chat, we have a help desk, we have subscription billing and management. And those are the sort of key pieces of functionality that we set out to build. What we're doing going forward is basically taking each of them a step deeper now. So we're not going to be building features, like I said, to move up market, but we think we have sort of the skeleton and the basic functionality in place now, and we just want to add a few more bells and whistles so we have closer to feature parity with some of the tools that we compete against. So an example, and this is something I get all the time during sales conversations, people come to me and they say, why would I use Outseta's email marketing tool as opposed to something like MailChimp? And one of the things that they call out is, MailChimp has 100 different templates I can choose from. And the reality was in, the early days of Outseta, we had one. We now offer 3 or allow you to design your own. But I'm sort of advocating for customers or suggesting to customers, yes, we don't have feature parity. We don't have those 100 email templates, but how many of those 100 are you actually going to use? And do they matter? Do those other 97 templates really have an impact on your revenue in the early days of your business? And that's the bet that we're trying to make. There are some trade-offs with using the platform, but if you look at the relative cost and the benefits of all of the tools being integrated from day one, we think it's a pretty compelling product.
So you're a bootstrapped SaaS product for SaaS bootstrappers.
That's right. It makes it really, really easy, both to figure out what to build. Certainly a lot of it has come from our own past experience, and really the idea for Outseta came from another company that I worked at that was called Buildium in Boston. My now co-founder Dimitri largely built an early version of Buildium of Outseta rather, to support the growth of that business. And we turned around and said, hey, there's nothing like this on the market. I think this would be useful to other companies. But for me, the marketer too, it's particularly easy to attack this market because I am the target market and my co-founders are the target market. And we know, where other people like us hang out online and in person, and it's just an easy market to get at.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a former and still active SaaS growth consultant who's now growing his own bootstrapped SaaS, what marketing advice would you give to any SaaS bootstrappers watching or listening about how they need to get started in marketing? Yes, we're asking for free advice here.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I think the big thing that I've tried to be an advocate for, and I think I was headed down this path even before Outseta and my own experience growing Outseta, but Outseta has certainly reinforced it, is I'm trying to get more people and the companies that we talk to that are looking at Outseta to focus on activation over acquisition. Mark Roberts, the original CRO or head of sales at HubSpot, has a framework that he's used to advise SaaS startups, where he says you need to focus on customer success first, getting your customer to adopt your product in earnest and figure out how to be successful with it. Then you need to figure out the unit economics and the viability of the business model second, and then you need to focus on growth third. And I think so many companies have that backwards and immediately start to focus on growth, maybe because they have limited runway or whatever their reasons. And ultimately that's what puts them out of business, because they, burn too much money too quickly, or they start to acquire customers that aren't good fit customers. And really just putting the focus on activation over acquisition is probably the first thing. Similarly, I really like this concept of resonance is more important than reach. I think there's so many marketers out there in particular that look at the size of their email list as this magic metric, and they do all sorts of things to grow their list, whether it's putting, exit intent pop-ups on their site or chat pop-ups on their site. And while those things, are effective and have been proven to grow your list, the size of your list does not matter. I would much rather have, somebody or a company with an email list of 200 people that sends out an email and gets, 10 thoughtful responses back than a company that has a list of thousands of people that just aren't as engaged. So I think those are the two things that I'm trying really hard to practice myself and preach to the companies that I advise.
I think both of those are very smart observations. I really do appreciate the thought that went into those. So you're working part of the time on your own consulting still, and part of the time on Outseta. How are you juggling those things? How are you getting on with that?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. So from a consulting perspective, all of my clients that I consult with understand that I'm working on Outseta and splitting my time between the two. And one of the things that's helped me is really trying to look for long-term consulting engagements where I'm basically a fully integrated member of the teams that I work with, just in a part-time capacity. And it's helpful for me as a founder. It gives me some semblance of sanity and stability, but I think it also benefits the company in the sense that I'm going to be around long enough where I can, see all of my recommendations actually implemented and track the results and optimize and that kind of thing. So that's definitely been part of it. I've tried, at least with my co-founders. So we're working 3 days a week on Outseta right now. And we make that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and try to do our consulting work as much as possible on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That is a tough schedule to stick to, but we try to stick to that as much as possible, and that's definitely helped too.
Excellent. Geoff, it's been fantastic to hear about Outseta and about how you've got this thing started, the market that you're playing in, and how you're using your experience as a growth consultant to actually grow this new business, in which you're a co-founder, in a sustainable way. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Geoff. For more info on Outseta, please visit www.outseta.com. For more info about this show, and to get our links to iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube, check out www.47insights.com. And if you have any SaaS marketing insights that you'd like to share on the show, please get in touch. Until next time.